we're going to talk about something today that a lot of sailors don't like to admit out loud. Not every sailboat you see sitting in the marina is a good deal. Some of them are traps. Some of them are heartbreak waiting to happen, and some of them were never designed to do what people later tried to make them do. But the used sailboat market makes everything look like a bargain when the price gets low enough, and that's where people get into trouble. So this isn't a video about bad boats. It's a video about boats that can cost you way more than you think if you don't know what you're looking at. You can buy any boat on this list and be perfectly happy as long as you know the catch. But if you don't know the catch, well, people have bought boats thinking they got a deal and wound up rebuilding half the structure before they ever sailed a mile. Let's get right into it. The first group we need to talk about is C&C sailboats over 32 feet from the late 70s and 80s. And before anybody starts typing angry comments, yes, I know, C&Cs sail beautifully. I've owned them and raced them most of my life. They have performance bones. They're fast, they're lively, they track well, the rigs are clean, the hull shapes are gorgeous. I like C&Cs. But here's the thing a lot of new buyers don't know. A ton of C&Cs, not all, were built with balsa-cored hulls. That's right, not just the deck, the hull. Why do you think they're so fast? And balsa coring in the hull is fine as long as it stays dry. But once water gets in through the chain plates, through deck hardware, through stanchions, through anything that wasn't bedded properly and re-bedded every so often, the balsa core starts to decay. And when that core goes soft, the hull loses stiffness, and now you're not buying a sailboat, you're buying a structural repair project that has to be cut open, dried, rebuilt, reskinned, and relaminated. And that's the moment where your $22,000 deal becomes a $48,000 lesson. Now, to show you a very real example inside that family, let's talk about the C&C Landfall 38. Gorgeous boat, comfortable interior, sails well, but the hull is balsa-cored. And a lot of these boats are decades old now with original bedding under the deck hardware. The people who love these boats love them a lot, and they're right, they sail wonderfully. But if you're looking at one and the seller says, yeah, some of the deck hardware could be re-bedded, but it's probably fine, you need to hear alarm bells. You need a moisture meter, percussion testing, and ideally a thermal camera survey. A dry C&C is a dream boat. A wet C&C is heartbreak and a winter spent in a boatyard with a grinder. Okay, now let's move on to something different. Early Gulfstars, the ones built before around 1977 or so. Gulfstar is one of the most misunderstood names in sailboats because of the early years. They were absolutely building on a budget in the beginning. Light layups, minimal glass, interior built very, very quickly. These early boats weren't meant to cross oceans. They were meant to be liveaboards and coastal toys for the Florida market. But then later Gulfstars, these were good boats. They were well built, respected cruising designs. So the trap is when someone sees a Gulfstar 37 for only $22,000 and thinks, wow, that's a bargain blue water boat. It might be. Or it might be a boat that flexes like a trampoline when it's pressed. You have to know which era you're buying into. There is no Gulfstar is good or Gulfstar is bad. There's early Gulfstar and then there's later Gulfstar. And if you don't know the difference, you're gambling with your wallet. Next, we need to talk about island packet, specifically island packets built before around August of 1999. Now listen, island packet people are a passionate bunch. They love these boats, and there's a reason for that. They are unbelievably comfortable and stable and forgiving cruising platforms. They don't point like racers, but they will take care of you and bring you home safely. However, there is the key. The island packets from 1999 and before used 304 stainless steel for their chain plates up until about August of 99. And 304 stainless does great in open air, but if you bed it inside damp, low oxygen environments for 25 years, guess what happens? Crevice corrosion. And here's the really nasty part. It fails from the inside out where you can't see it. So you'll have many island packet owners say, my chain plates look shiny, they're great. And they do, right up until they snap. So if you're looking at a pre-99 island packet, budget chain plate replacement, about 18 grand. Don't argue with it. Don't ask if maybe this one's fine. It's not a cosmetic thing. It's structural, it's your rig, and it's your safety. All right, this next one is a fun one because it shows up online in Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and Boat Trader constantly as the perfect cruising boat project, and that is the Coronado 41. This boat is the poster child for looks like a deal, and to be fair, there are Coronado 41 owners out there who absolutely love their boats. But here's what you need to know. The structural load paths in this boat are not consistent. Depending on the year, the tabbing that bonds the bulkheads to the hull varies dramatically. And when tabbing lets go, or never properly was bonded in the first place, the rig loads start flexing the cabin house instead of distributing through the hull structure. That means cracking and mass compression and chainplate stress, basically turning the boat into a wet noodle from long-term fatigue. And it's not a cheap fix, that's structural rebuild territory. The Coronado 41 is not a casual refit, it's an experienced refit. Now let's switch gears and talk about MacGregor, the 26X and 26M, the famous Powersailor that always has somebody water skiing behind it somehow. And listen, these boats have a purpose. They are brilliant for lightweight trailering, deployment in small lakes, for motoring fast, or getting your family out with minimal complexity. But they are not a proper sailboat in a traditional sense. They're not even a proper powerboat in a traditional sense. And if you buy one expecting to be sailing upwind confidently in 20 knots, you're going to have a bad time. These are a compromise boat. They do everything, yes, but they do everything just okay. And if you understand that, they're great. You can have a lot of fun. If you don't, you're going to think sailing is awful. And it's the boat's fault. It's not sailing's fault. And finally, Bayliner sailboats. Bayliner made a lot of power boats. Then somebody over there said, let's make sailboats. And they did, cheaply. The Buccaneer line, US yachts, lots of volume, lots of freeboard, and lots of interior space. But they sail like a refrigerator box in a crosswind. These were built to be affordable and mission accomplished. But if you're dreaming about ocean passages or even serious coastal work, these boats are going to fight you every mile. So here's the real message. No boat is bad if you know what you're getting into, but a cheap boat is only cheap if you don't have to rebuild its structure or its rig or its load paths. And too many people buy with their hearts, not the survey report. If you go into any of these boats with open eyes, surveys done, moisture readings taken, chain plates pulled, tabbing checked, and rig inspected, you can come away with an incredible cruiser. But if you don't know that this stuff is going on, you can lose years or tens of thousands of dollars. And that's why we talk about it. Because the mission here at Lady K Sailing has always been to get more people sailing more easily. And I sure couldn't do that without the help of the patrons. People who give as little as a couple of bucks an episode to make these videos possible. If you'd like to help me get more people sailing more easily, please consider becoming a patron. Paid patrons get access to the app where we have group chats and live one-on-one messaging with me, and consultations if they're in the boat buying or learning process. I hope to see you there. Until next time, friends, keep the heavy side down, but not too far down. I love you guys.